Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge von Radikal Glücklich, deinem Podcast für strahlendes und gut gelauntes Leben. Und Achtung, ich mache eine kleine Introduction auf Englisch. Hello to all the English listeners. This is an episode on Radikal Glücklich in English where I'm interviewing best-selling author Mimi Kirk. She is a raw, vegan, 80-year-old fabulous woman living in San Diego. We talk about her journey to raw food, about raising kids, vegetarian and vegan, about family life, about politics. We talk about mindfulness and about how it all comes together and what real self-love is. And I enjoyed this talk so much, so I hope you will enjoy it too. And I'm gonna put a little German prescription in between, so stay tuned and we will start in a couple of seconds. Okay, das war kurz für die englischen Zuhörer und falls du denkst, mein Englisch, ich weiß nicht, ob ich das so schaffe, auf Glücksplanet gibt es wie immer bei englischsprachigen Interviews, habe ich bei mir auch schon so gemacht, einen Post, ein bisschen längeren, in dem ich die wichtigsten Dinge für mich aus dem Interview nochmal für euch zusammenfasse, sodass du die Chance hast, vielleicht nach dem Hören, ich würde es mal probieren, weil sie ist wirklich sehr inspirierend, nochmal zu gucken, ob du auch wirklich alles so verstanden hast, wie du wolltest. Ein paar Sätze will ich zu Mimi noch sagen. Ich habe Mimis Buch Rohköstlich, Leben selber gekauft. Vor vielen Jahren, 2012 habe ich das gekauft und es wurde mir empfohlen. Damals war ich einige Jahre vegan. Ich bin vegan geworden, lass mal kurz überlegen. Ich bin jetzt 8,5 Jahre, also 2010 bin ich vegan geworden, im Sommer 2010, im Sommer, ja, ich meine ja. Und bin jetzt fast 9 Jahre vegan, genau. Und dann habe ich 2 Jahre später dieses Buch geholt, weil ich mehr Rohkost in mein Leben integrieren wollte. Ich bin keine Rohveganerin und mir kommt es auch immer ein bisschen vor, als könnte das kompliziert werden. Aber ich muss euch sagen, dieses Interview hat mich total motiviert, nochmal mehr darauf zu achten, was ich esse, wann ich esse, wie ich mein Wasser koche. Es hat mich drüber nachdenken lassen, wie ich meine Kinder erziehe. Wir haben über Politik gesprochen, darüber, wie wir glücklich werden. Und ich habe es sehr genossen, weil Mimi das, was sie in ihren Büchern beschreibt, so in jeder Pore lebt. Und so einen warmherzigen, wunderbaren Blick auf die Welt hat. Das ist einfach toll. Ist einfach toll gewesen. Und ich wünsche euch ganz viel Spaß bei dieser Episode. Und wenn ihr irgendwelche Fragen habt, unten in den Shownotes kommt Mimis Webseite natürlich rein. Ich packe ihr YouTube-Video, von dem sie erzählen wird, über den Käse rein. Ich packe rein einen Post von mir, wo die Dirty Dozen, also die Lebensmittel, die man ganz gut essen kann, wenn sie nicht biologisch angebaut sind und die man auf keinen Fall essen sollte aus herkömmlicher Landwirtschaft, aufgrund von Pestiziden und so weiter. Das packe ich euch auch unten rein. Und natürlich den Link zu ihren Büchern, den wird's auf dem Blog geben. Und ich wünsche euch viel Spaß. So, jetzt geht's los. Viel Spaß mit Mimi und bis bald. Lasst mich wissen, wie ihr diese Folge findet. Ich bin so gespannt, was sie mit euch macht. Also, schickt mir Rückmeldungen, postet, macht was auch immer. Bis bald. So we are on air. Hello to Mimi Kirk. It's so good to see you. You look amazing. And I'm really happy to have you on the podcast today because when I read your book first, I've looked at it. It has been in 2012. That's when I found you. You were a recommendation from another blogger. And I have just turned on 2008 vegan, and I was trying to invite more eating raw into my life. And your book helped me so much, and it totally has changed my view on growing older too. So thank you for that. And I want to know, how is your day, your typical day? Because I was wondering, is all that food making and being in the garden, what I can see, what you show on Instagram or social media, how does it work out your day? Please tell us.
Well, I think once you decide on self-care, and for women particularly, that you love yourself enough to take care of yourself, which most women I know that have small children are always busy with their children first. and they take very little time for themselves. So it's taken time, which I think it does, but I put some effort into my self-care. And self-care for me is eating fresh food and fixing food. And I think food fixed with love. I mean, we go out and eat sometimes. I enjoy that, but it's never like eating at home because I know what I'm getting. Organic, non-GMO, delicious, rainbow of colors, really fresh local foods. And to me, that's a very important thing. So I think when people don't take the time in the day to take care of themselves in whichever way they find necessary, when you get older, you more than likely will have some of those diseases that are very prevalent for older people. And I have none of those. And so I know that taking care of myself is vital. And at 80, I'm 80. At 80, where I don't have any time to put it off. I have to spend the time in the kitchen, at the grocery store, at the farmer's market. And I love cooking. And because, one of my newest books is very simple. There's very quick recipes, but I love making food. It's artistic to me. So I wake up, the days that I don't go to Pilates, which I do 2, maybe 3 times a week, I spend time. I have my tea in the morning, which I think is very important because it has lots of minerals and nutrients in it. And I fix a green juice almost every day, or a smoothie, a superfood smoothie. And that's how I start my day out. And honestly, I have so much energy during the day. I just feel great. So I'm lucky to be able to spend my time. I work from home. I write from home. I'm lucky to be able to spend more time on myself than I ever have before. So that is great for me.
Yeah, I believe that. And it's so true what you said about that we have to love ourselves enough to take good care. And I'm going to ask you about your new book later, so we can put the link into the show notes so people can grab it if they want to. But I would love to know, what kind of tea are you drinking? What kind of superfood smoothie are you making? What is the recipe? I want to look like you when I'm 80. So I got to go.
My newest book is on tea. So I'm a big tea advocate because instead of drinking water, I drink cold brew tea. I don't boil the water when I make cold brew tea. I do it in my refrigerator with the tea bags and water, right? And so I make a variety of teas. I try to have some kind of green tea every day. Right now I'm drinking green tea and jasmine for this morning. I like to have green tea in the morning. And it's a green tea. Green tea to me is so important for your health. It's amazing if you drink green tea every day, what that does.
Yes, I love green tea, but I'm boiling my water. I'm not 100% eating raw. It's like maybe 40%. But and I'm cooking my water, and I put the hot water on the tea. So how do you do green tea?
So here's the thing. Well, I do green tea when I make it ice, but like this morning, it's a little cool. So I want warm tea. I don't want cold. I mean, you can heat things if you're raw. It's not like you're eating all cold food. You can heat things. And that's why I have a dehydrator to make cookies and breads and heat some of my main dishes. Heating water is fine. It's not considered you're not having raw. But what I learned when I was researching for my tea book is that a tea master from the Tang Dynasty, way back, said that it's very important how you boil your water. Most of us put the kettle on and we boil it until it's big bubbles and very hot. And he says that's not good. And I understand deeply now what happens. First of all, if you're not drinking organic tea and you put hot water into that bowl with organic leaves or tea bag, whatever, into your cup, and you put that hot water on, you're releasing all the chemicals that tea was sprayed with. So you want to make sure you have organic tea. Now, what he says is that you boil your tea, and I don't do it in a tea kettle anymore. I do it on a pan on the stove so I can see how it's boiling. So the little teeny bubbles that start at the bottom of the pan and, before it starts to boil, those are the first boil, those little teeny bubbles. The second boil is when you see like a little bubbling stream, very light, starts to bubble around the edges. The little bubbles get a little larger. That's the second boil. The third boil is when you boil it completely and it's bubbling fast and it's a torrent and everything. He said, that's dead water. You want to drink it from the second boil. Don't drink boiled water because you've killed the energy in the water. And so that makes so much sense to me, and particularly since I understand keeping things as natural as possible. All of a sudden, I realized that when you're boiling water that hard, you are changing the chemistry of the water. So you want to go to the second boil. It's hot enough, really, that little bubbles. When I see it start to bubble around the edge, then I pour it onto my tea bag, my organic tea bag or tea leaf. So now I got rid of my teapot because I don't use it anymore because I can't see, unless you take off the lid and you're watching it in your teapot. But I'm really careful now not to overboil my water. I know it sounds so funny, but I agree that the tea masters know how to make tea, and they tell you the quality of the tea, how long you steep the tea, and the quality of the water you're using, and how you boil it, all have to do with a really good cup of tea. So obviously I look at everything to get the most nutrients I can. So
of course.
Yeah, my new tea book is not out yet. It'll be out in July, and it has some wonderful ideas on how to use tea as a hydration and antioxidants and minerals and everything. So I drink tea every day, and I prefer it now to water because I'm getting not only the water, I'm getting the nutrients from the herb. And we've known for centuries that, people in other countries have always drank tea for that, for healing. So now there's so many good teas out, and in the book I describe all the teas and what they're good for. So there's many, many good teas. You want to find things that you like and switch off. But I think green tea every day is a really good thing to practice.
Of course.
And then my superfood. You want to hear the superfood?
Yes, I want to hear the superfood in the smoothies.
Okay, so when I don't juice, when I feel like I don't feel like cleaning the juicer, which is not difficult, I juice almost every day. But sometimes I want that superfood in my body, maybe a couple times a week. So I use spirulina, powdered green organic spirulina. I use moringa powder, which is also a green powder, moringa, and that's all my stuff will be organic, so I won't have to say that. I believe in organic foods. I use chaga mushroom. I use turmeric. I use maca, and I use matcha, which is a green tea, and I use cacao powder, and I put in for the liquid, I'll either use some tea that I have cold brew in the refrigerator or coconut water for the liquid. And I put in maybe 3 dates. I like a little sweetener in there. And then I put my blender on until it's totally smooth. And the amount of liquid you use has to depend on, like, let's say I put a tablespoon of each of these things into my drink. It'll be for 2 of us, from Mike and I. And I'll put a tablespoon in, and then I fill the blender up with water. I don't like it too thick, but I don't want it too thin. So it's up to you on how much liquid. Put some in and then blend it, and then you say, oh, it's too thick. It is thick because it's all powder. And then you can add some more liquid. So that's up to you on how you want to do it. And when you drink that drink, and I like some ice cubes in there at the end. I grind up the ice cubes so it's really icy cold. And when you drink that, honestly, by the time you finish it, you are ready to go through the day. It's so, woohoo! That's how I feel every time I finish it. It just gives me nutrients. Like my body just feels like what it's done. My cells are like screaming for joy. They're so happy. So that drink is very powerful to me. And you have all these nutrients for the day. So that's my
you have spirulina, I get moringa powder, turmeric, and you talked about a mushroom. What kind of mushroom?
Chaga. Chaga. C-H-A-G-A, chaga mushroom. It all comes in a powder. All of these things you can get in a powder. So it's very easy. I have a little tray, and I have all the bags sitting in there. They're sealed. I think I bought them all at a place called Star West Botanicals. It's online. But I want good quality, so I always search for good quality. So I have this little box, and I just take that out and open up each thing and put it in the blender, and then I put the whole box back. It's up in my cupboard, and it's ready to go. It's very easy. It takes just minutes to make that drink. And once you get onto it, once you get onto the thickness and what you like I say, coconut water or tea is my favorite, but you could put plain water in. That's fine as well. But I'm always trying to get the most I can into something that I eat or drink. And it's delicious. It really is delicious. And the dates, you use that according to how you like it. If you need a little more sweet, it's fine to put in another date or a little maple syrup. Don't use sugar or any unhealthy sweetener, but those are my two favorites. So make it a little sweet if you need that. And honestly, if you drink that, you're going to be so surprised how good you feel immediately. You can tell it works. It just works.
I'm going to test it. I promise.
Good.
I love superfoods and I love smoothies too. I'm not into juicing right now. So you said that you juice most days.
Yes.
You make your juice.
Yes. And I'll tell you why. And I've mentioned that in my juice book, because what I find when I make a smoothie, which I also love, I have to admit, sometimes I'll have a kind of a dessert chocolate smoothie for dinner instead of eating if I don't feel like doing anything. But I think that when you're juicing, you need to put a lot more produce in to get a 16-ounce glass of juice. If you're making a smoothie, you can't get that much in the blender. You can get, a couple handfuls of spinach or whatever, a stalk or two of celery. But when you're juicing, you need more produce. And I want to get the most I can into that drink in the morning. I want as much vegetables as I can get in there. I use, let's say, celery and cucumber, spinach leaves, kale, an apple, a lemon. And to me, that makes a delicious drink. And I need a lot of it. I use a lot to make it for two people. But it fills up I get two 16-ounce glasses. But if you're making a smoothie, you can't get that much in the blender.
No.
So it's delicious. And I'm not saying it's not good. It is good for you if that's all you can do and you don't want to mess with anything. But if you have a good juicer, it's so easy to do it. And if I'm busy and I have to leave the house, I have a big bowl of warm water. I throw all the parts in there and I clean it when I get home. I don't, if I have to run out for business or whatever, Pilates class or something, I just throw it in a big thing of water and clean it later. It's not difficult to clean. And it's, people like the blender because it's easy. It's one thing. They just rinse it out and it's over. But I think you get more from juicing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about buying a juicer, so that's going to be one of the next decisions to make because so many people tell me how good juices are.
It is, and I like the thin. I like the thinness of a juice without all the pulp in it. I know some people say you need the pulp, but I eat salads. I get enough roughage. I eat plenty of fresh fruits, and I eat salads every day. So I'm getting the roughage I need. I don't need it. And sometimes I take the pulp that I have and I make crackers out of it. Or I add it to, some raw burgers or something. So I'm not always throwing the pulp out, but it's okay if I do for my health because I'm eating enough of other things. So,
thank you for those insights. And I have some questions because I ask the people who read my blog and follow me on Instagram what they want me to ask you.
Yeah.
And the first question, which came up a little bit more often, was how do you stay on track if you're starting your raw journey? Because food smells, you have memories considering food smells and maybe you have some tips.
Yeah, when I first started to go raw, I wasn't really happy because some of the recipes I found didn't satisfy me. I wanted those tastes that I grew up with. I wanted the smells, the thing you're talking about. I so understand that. But what I learned to do is make those dishes. I learned to make whatever I wanted in a raw manner. And it worked out for me. My second book is Live Raw Around the World. And in that I have food from all over. We went to 7 countries. And so I have Indian food, I have Thai food, I have German food. I have all kinds of foods that I learned to make by using the spices that we grew up with. And the spices really are what make a dish right. So I could make almost anything taste like, where I want, what country, what food that I feel like eating then. And that one thing I did is learn how to make some really good dishes that satisfied me. So you can't do this overnight. Let's say you learn a new dish one week and you make it the next and you perfect it to your own taste, enough garlic, enough lemon, enough whatever you want. And then in a couple of weeks, you learn another dish that you can make that you're satisfied with. Because our taste buds change as we're eating more fresh food, you don't crave as much of the other stuff. It takes time, though. You start craving. So then you figure out, what can I do to make this, to satisfy myself? And, I think we have to eat enough raw food. At one point, I was totally raw, but now I eat some cooked vegan food because I started traveling and I was just hungry. And it didn't bother me at first, but then there was nothing to eat. So then I thought, is this going to bother me in my digestion or whatever if I eat a cooked sweet potato or, some cooked vegetables? And I must say that when I eat that, I don't digest it as well because I can tell now when food takes longer to digest. Raw food just digests right away. So I like that feeling. I don't feel heavy or bloated or whatever. And when I eat a cooked meal, I do feel more of that. But I do eat a cooked meal every once in a while. So I think when people start out, you have to be easy on yourself. If you try to do it all like I did, and I'll tell you why I went all the way raw. But if you try to do it all the way, I find it's hard for people to stay on it. The second thing is to make a commitment that's important to you. And my commitment was, I actually didn't, I was a vegan and vegetarian for 50 years, but I didn't go raw until I was 69. So, I've been raw now for this length of time, and I know the difference. I grew up on, regular American standard diet, meat at every meal and potatoes and so forth. The second thing, after saying that you want to do this slowly, is you need a commitment. My commitment was my health and my age. It's like, I can't say, I'll do it when I'm 40 or 50. I'm like already 69. I was like, I got to do this now, or I'm going to end up like my family, whose health history is not very good. At 69, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and I was getting arthritic pains. Now, my family was on all kinds of medication. They've had cancer, Parkinson's, lupus, leukemia, heart problems. My family has had everything. And all I could see is when the doctor handed me a prescription was that was going to be my future. I had one sister that was on 15 medications. And I thought, not going to happen to me. And so I decided, and like I say, I was always like a vegetarian or vegan for so many years, so I ate healthier than most people. But then I started researching, and raw food came up. And I just, oh, no, I don't want that. It's like celery sticks and carrots. I like to cook. This is going to be miserable. But then I thought, I'll try it. So I started juicing and eating lots of vegetables and just went raw. And within 2 weeks, I felt great. Within 6 months, a return to my doctor showed that everything was back to normal. And I haven't had an arthritic pain since. So this is what motivates me. I'm 80. This is the future for me, is if I don't take care of myself, I'm going to get the common diseases that people get when they get older. And so far, I'm not getting those. I feel like I'm an experiment on myself, and hopefully will help other people to know that food is medicine. And you need to stop eating processed food. And especially, I know in Germany, it's not as bad, but it's starting to get worse in the markets. I've seen it with my own eyes, that they're starting to do what we do in America. All this processed food to make life easy. Just open this bag, pop this in the oven. It's all ready to eat. Just warm it up. What's in that food? And especially when you look at expiration dates. You buy something tomorrow and it's 2019 and it says it doesn't expire till 2024. What? That can't be real food, right? So we have to be very cautious not to eat processed food and to buy fresh food as local as possible and stay away from processed food. There's just too much junk in it. And we have a lot of problems here in America with genetically modified foods, and it's spreading around the world now. And I think that's one of the worst things that we can do to our bodies. It's all chemically made, and it's all forced to grow, and we're not getting the nutrients we need. And so buying at farmer's market, where you're getting local food and organic, hopefully, your body will feel satisfied. You won't have as many cravings for the old stuff. You'll start craving the food that makes you feel good. So it's a process. I think if anyone's going to do this, you should give yourself 6 months to a year to transition and find wonderful dishes to make, wonderful recipes that you love. I make a zucchini lasagna that I think is like better than the real lasagna. My desserts, I don't even want to eat anything but raw desserts. They're so delicious. And I do have a sweet tooth, so I'm making my desserts. And I just find I've now the way I cook is just normal to me, or uncooked, which way I'm going. It's normal to me. This is normal food to me. I don't think of any of the foods I've had before. But they are coming out with some amazing vegan foods today, and vegan cheeses. And cheese is always hard for people to give up. It's a staple in most people's diet. And now I make my own raw cheeses. I have a YouTube video out on making cheeses raw, but they have vegan cheeses out there. So while you're transitioning to eat more raw, you transition by eating some more vegan. And then you can go and make sure that you get raw food every day. And the reason is that it helps your digestion. It helps you get the nutrients from the food you're eating. So you want everything in the most natural state possible, like a big salad with all kinds of vegetables in there. If you have that in the afternoon, your body's going to get the nutrients. If you have that juice or smoothie in the morning, your body's going to get nutrients. And then let's say that you do that and you're really good during the day and you want to cook vegan dinner. I'm very much on vegan for several reasons. One is my health. The main reason was the animals. I just don't want to feel part of killing animals. I don't wear leather. I just can't do it. I just can't. I look at that plate with people eating and I think, who suffered for that? And I just can't do that. And also the planet needs our help. And so these are reasons I think that people should go vegan, for the animal, the planet, and your own health. I think it's so easy to do today because we just now got here in America, I don't know if it's anywhere else, we just got a vegan burger that came out that is 2 of them that are so amazing that even a meat eater would think they were eating meat. It's turned off a lot of vegans because they say it's too close to meat tasting for them. But it's made with pea protein and totally plant-based. So we have that here. And I know that Germany has some good vegan cheeses. So start that way and, and think about, be mindful when you're eating. Because if you are, and you look at that plate of food, you're going to be mindful, is this good for me?
Oh, yeah, that's so true. And I felt when I turned vegan, I was 40. And I have been eating everything before. I always said when there were documentations about the suffering of the animals, I always said, I can't look at it. But I didn't think about what I was doing. And then I read a book and it changed everything and changed the whole diet. And I started to feel so much better just because of skipping the meat and the cheese.
Right.
And the cheese cravings went away. They were gone after some weeks. And now when I smell cheese, which I thought would be like really making my heart break, it's like, I don't want it anymore. So that's what happens when you are committed, I think.
Yeah, and if you crave something, like I crave cheese, I learned how to make really good cheese at home. So out of nuts, and it's like, it's amazing. I let it cure for 3 weeks in the refrigerator. And honestly, if I put it on a plate somewhere, nobody would think it's some raw crap. Nobody even thinks about that. It's not real cheese. But I do think that the animal thing is what got to me when I first became a vegetarian. I didn't understand vegan, but I thought, I can't eat anything with a face, an animal, a mother, or whatever. I just can't do it. And I still feel that's the reason I changed my diet when I was 30 to eat more of a plant-based diet. And I didn't learn about raw until much later. But we do have to think about that. I think you feel good and you feel more loving and you're not doing any harm. We're supposed to walk lightly on this earth, tread lightly, and be loving to people and to animals, to everything living, to plants, to everything. We can't be not mindful about nature. And nature is changing all over the world because we're not doing all the right things. And it doesn't matter where you live in Germany or here in San Diego or in Spain or wherever, you have to be mindful. This is one planet. And what affects you affects me, and what affects me affects you. So each person has to feel their own responsibility. If you are too busy in life, working and raising your family, running from one place to another, you're stressed out, you're not doing your body any service at all. You put your job and making money more important than taking care of your health. Here in America, families are both working. The husband and the wife are both working, and they get home and they pick up something at a fast food restaurant to bring home to feed their kids because they don't have time to cook. This is really very unhealthy. Families don't sit down and really eat together or cook together anymore. All my kids cook. They're all really good cooks. Even though I was a single mom, working mom, I was widowed at a very early age, 29. I had 4 children. I still made muffins for my kids in the morning. I still, made things for them and let them know what good food was. And we ate dinner together. And when I was working in TV, and we'd shoot film one night of the week. So my kids learned to cook for themselves that night. And they all are amazing. They all are amazing cooks. But I know young people today don't know how to cook. They know how to heat. They can open a can. They can heat something in the oven, but they don't know how to cook from scratch. And there's such joy in artistry in cooking. And I think we need to get back to it. I remember in the 50s, my mom used to cook meals. And then all of a sudden, some manufacturers of food decided, we're going to make women's lives easier. We're going to give them those little frozen dinners in a little metallic tray. And they just could take it out of the freezer and pop it in the oven. We're going to give them frozen foods and things in cans. And they started making food back then, to make women's lives easier. And because women were getting busy. But what is more important than feeding your family healthy food and feeding yourself healthy food? We need to get back to that and realize this is how we show love. I always feel when I'm cooking and for people, I'm showing love because I feel love in the food when I'm making it. And it tastes different. It looks different. It feels different. It is different. And your body is getting nutrients from that. And I think...
Sorry, I didn't want to
say that everything is energetic. Everything we do has an energy behind it. And doing things with love creates a marvelous energy out in the world and in the food that you're cooking. So,
yeah, that's so true. And I feel that once you decide to cook and to raise your children with awareness of how food can be made and how precious it is, then you also there's a shift in how important work becomes and how important you take yourself. Like all the running after more money or a career or a meaning is like when I'm there, I will be happy. But but you never get there. Yeah. Most of us. So it's about being happy now.
Yes, exactly.
Which
I think everything is energy. And I want to mention something about the health aspects of eating this way and not being stressed, because I think this is really important. Yeah. We have trillions of cells in our body, trillions. And they all have a job to do. They know exactly what to do to keep us healthy. As you age, you lose some of your cells. They've come to the conclusion now that it's not our genes that determine how well and how long we live. It's our cells. And our cells regenerate all the time. So, or they degenerate. Let's say your skin will change over every 4 months and it will either regenerate or degenerate depending on how you're taking care of yourself, how mindful you are, how you're eating, how you're exercising, how you're thinking positive, or if you're negative or you feel stressed, they'll degenerate. And you want to keep your cells healthy. So doing all the mindful situations, meditation, walking, being out in nature, all of those help your cells regenerate when it's time to turn over. Your heart and your liver turn over every 5 to 9 months. Everything is always changing in your cells. So that's the good news, that it's our cells and not our genes. Because if it's your cells, you have some say in the process. You could just age and your cells disappear and you die earlier because you're not taking care of yourself because you need them for your body to function. And the more you have, the better. We do lose them, just organically. They're going to disappear, and the telomeres on top of our cells are going to get destroyed. And that's how disease starts. Because the weaker the cells are, the easier it is for disease to come in and hook onto those cells and cause diabetes and cancer and all kinds of things. So we have some control over how we age. And I can say for my own experience, since my family they were not in great health. They all had things going on. I can say that I've done something and I can see how it's different for me than it was for my family. And so when I say I know what I'm talking about, I also know, like, everything, body and mind are connected. And so I always talk to myself every morning when I wake up, before I actually open my eyes, that I am awake. I talk to myself from my head to my head, my feet to my head. and I tell my cells I thank them for taking care of me. And I say, if there's anything in my body that's not right, will you go there and produce more cells and make it right? And I do the same thing at night. And I've been doing that for 2 years. And I'm telling you, I jump out of bed, I think I'm 40 or 30. I have no age consciousness. And I know, even when I mention my cells and I'm talking about them now, I can feel them in my body. They tingle. They're happy I'm talking about them. So I believe the mind and body are connected. And whether it's placebo effect, because I think it and it's working, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's working for me. That's how I feel. But we do know mind and body are connected. And we also know that stem cells are very popular right now. You can repair a knee without surgery with stem cells. Sports people who have head injuries can be repaired with more stem cells, healthy stem cells. It's working on everything. They're going to be doing, they're already doing plastic surgery with stem cells, I guess, but they're using it for everything. So our stem cells are really important. And they're yours. All trillions of them are yours. So you have to direct them and help them along. And you can do that. And I feel I've done that. Yeah.
So that leads me to another question, because I read in your biography in front of my book that you were pretty young, concerning my view, when you started your mindfulness journey and started meditating, and you were telling that your kids played in the meditation room. And so since Glücksplanet and the podcast is also about yoga and meditation, I would love to hear what kind of routines you have during the day besides eating, so you keep yourself in a good state of joy and be mindful and be aware of what's happening.
Well, I think that's a good thing, because I think that daily practice of anything you do, meditating even 10 minutes, and there are lots of good, if you have trouble, people say, I've tried to meditate. You could put on some headphones. You can listen to some guided meditation on YouTube. Just find a voice that you like and sit for 10 minutes. And there's a lot of meditations now on apps that you can buy. And 10% happier. So there's all these different apps that you can use if you can't meditate on your own. And you can strengthen that muscle, the meditation muscle, by starting out that way. It's very easy to do that. So for myself, I can meditate. I started meditating when I was 30. So I can not meditate one day and I can sit down the next and I'm already in meditation. I don't have any problem calling up my soul, my inner self. It's very easy for me to meditate. I think meditation can also be for people. I think that particular kind of meditation where you sit quietly with a straight back and you meditate and you have a mantra, or you just try to empty out the thoughts, and then all of a sudden, blah, 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 blah. The mind just doesn't let you do it. So that's why I think guided meditation is good for many people. Also, being outside in nature as much as possible. It's so important to feel the trees, the outside, the soil, not always on cement. People leave their house, they get in their car, they drive to their work, they go into a cement building. They're never outside in nature. They're not outside anywhere where they can get the air and put their feet on the ground. If they live in apartments, they don't have the same thing as a house might have, where you can walk in your yard barefoot and tend your garden and so forth. So we moved from my big garden that I always talked about. Last year, we moved into the city, into a house, and we have a huge decks outside and rooftop and everything. And I've been planting, I don't have a lot of soil. We have trees that you might see behind me here, a whole patio of trees. I just plant herbs right now. And I've got a tomato plant out there. I have to have something growing where I'm touching my herbs and gardening. So I like to do that on a daily basis. I walk to do Pilates 2 or 3 times a week. I love walking. I love to explore my neighborhood. We have lots of trees and beautiful yards and flowers, and I try not to miss anything when I'm walking. I want to see the flower that bloomed that wasn't there yesterday. I try to notice everything and be in the moment. And when I'm walking like that, I don't pick up my cell phone. I love my cell phone. I love to stay connected to my family and friends. It's always going off. I've got, hundreds and hundreds of mail every day, things I have to answer. So I try to limit and spend some time doing that. And when I'm out, I try to be out. When I'm cooking, I'm there in the moment. So I spend my day differently every day. For the last 4 years, up until this last year, we spent 6 months a year in Mallorca, Spain. And we gave up that. We gave up our place to buy a new house here and stay here. And I'll go back and travel there and visit friends. I have many friends abroad and do workshops abroad. That's what I like to do, and speaking engagements. So that's where my time is spent. Last year I wrote 3 books. This year I'm resting. I have a book coming out in July, but I wrote that last year and just finished the editing, beginning of this year. So I've been on the computer for many, many, many hours writing. For the last 10 years, I've written 7 books, all in my 70s. So don't worry about getting older. We're still relevant. When we get older, they say we're not relevant, but we're still relevant. I've had an amazing life in my 70s, and I'm sure my 80s are going to be the same. But really, people worry, when they hit 50, they worry about getting older all the time. And, they say you're middle age. Well, that means you'll live to be 100. So you have a lot of years to accomplish anything you want, You can't let that get to you. You can't let the lines on your face get to you. It happens. It doesn't matter how good you take care of yourself. You still are going to get certain things. You want to keep your health the best you can. And I can't worry about the outside as much. I do my best, but, I like long hair. I like the blonde hair, but I'm not obsessed about getting lines. I don't worry about it. I look at myself in the mirror and it's like, okay, that's how I am. I'm more concerned about how I feel inside and the kind of person I am and what I can do to make a difference in people's lives. That's what I'm focused on. So that's what I do during the day. I answer a lot of questions that people write to me. I try to help people. I feel very blessed that people come up to me when I'm out somewhere and say, you changed my life. And it's very rewarding. So I feel amazing with that. I have an amazing relationship for 16 years with a man 20 years my junior. And he said to me the other day, I can't keep up with you anymore. He said, I'm going to have to trade you in for a 90-year-old.
Well, she has to live raw.
Yeah, and we have a great time together. He's vegan, so I cook food for him more. He eats a lot of raw food, but he eats vegan food, so I fix things that he likes, and we travel together and have a great time. And he's home. He helps me with all my stuff, sending out my books and things like that. He's always helping me with things that I need. So I really feel very blessed that at this time of my life, I have an amazing life, and I feel very accomplished, even in my past, and raising some amazing children. I feel really good about that. So life is always here for you to do whatever you want. Today is the first day of your life. You can start and do anything you really want to do. Don't put things off. And please don't put off eating healthy, because what you eat today affects you tomorrow. And I don't mean just actually tomorrow. I mean in the future. Yeah. The standard American diet has caused standard American diseases. Cancer, diabetes, heart problems. Fast foods, processed foods have made people really sick. And we have to understand that the fresh produce at your farmer's market should be your medicine cabinet, because food really is medicine. So eating is important, how you think is important. Having a circle of friends. People always ask me, one of the questions, can I drink wine? Well, that's totally up to you. The men in Sardinia live to be 100. A lot of people live to be 100 and more, and they drink wine, but they drink like one small glass and another half at night, and they don't over drink. So if you enjoy that, you should enjoy that. Life is to be enjoyed. You can't, if you're eating something on your plate and you go, oh, I shouldn't be eating this. This is, French fries or something not good for me. Don't give any bad energy to your food. Just say, I'm going to eat this delicious food and I'm going to love eating it. It's going to give me some nutrients somewhere. Don't make yourself wrong. Don't beat yourself up. Don't make yourself a bad person. Don't feel guilty. If you're going to do something, do it with gusto. And that energy you put out there is more important than what you have on that plate. And you can't do that every day, but I'm saying for people who try to eat healthy and then they go off, they beat themselves up and they feel so guilty, and it's crazy to do that. Enjoy everything you do. And you'll see everything changes. And stress is ridiculous. I mean, when I think about things that bothered me in the early days, trying to raise children alone and how I felt. Until I started meditating, I didn't understand what it really felt like to just trust and to have faith in the things that go in front of you. And everything needs to be a lesson. And I learned that when I started meditating. So I think it's very good for people to meditate every day.
So yeah, I think so too. And I love the neuroscience, which shows the effect on the brain in pictures, where you can see that meditating people have a different cortex.
Yes.
And a different brain part. And you can see that they're better in feeling when they are stressed and reacting so that they are more comfortable sooner.
Right.
So it gets you easy out of the spiral. Is spiral the right word?
The spiral.
The spiral of doing too much and getting cortisol in your body and feeling
and drugs. That, to me, that meditation goes to the root cause. Drugs just cover up the symptom. People who are taking any kind of drugs for anxiety and depression, whatever they're taking in, I'm not telling people to go off their medication, but you need to find other methods that deal with the root cause of what is going on, not just the symptom. All the advertisement in America for pharmaceuticals, they tell you, ask your doctor for this drug or that drug for a disease you never heard of before. They're making up diseases now so they can give you more medication. But you have to be very careful when you're taking any kind of medication, because then you forget to take care of what's really wrong. You need to look further, deeper in if something is wrong. If you have arthritis or if you have type 2 diabetes, it's usually food related. And the doctors put you on medication instead. They're not trained in food. So they put you on medication. So you have to question that. My doctor said, well, I'm trying to keep people alive. And I tell them medication because they don't want to change their diet. They're too lazy. They just say, give me a pill and I'll just take that. So you have to make a decision for yourself. I think that if you're taking one pill and then you take another one, I think they're going to react on your body, maybe not as good. I think you're harming your cells when you do that. And maybe you don't feel that pain or that disease anymore, but are you really doing the right thing? So I think, meditation also helps cure people. Positive thinking helps cure people. There's a proof of all of that. And food has helped to cure people. So why don't you try that method and see how that works for you? And don't go off medication without checking with your doctor and telling them what you're going to do. You need to, make sure that you do let go of these things in the right way. But I know thousands of people who've cured themselves from all kinds of things, including cancer, from working in a natural way. And today we're very lucky because there's so many good films out that can teach you. I mean, there's dozens of them out there that can teach you different ways to look at your health and different methods to healing yourself. You just have to open up and look at it. I know now, I see from when I first started to be a vegan, oh my gosh, it's grown so fast now. Major manufacturers are now coming out with vegan foods because they feel people want it. So everywhere you go in restaurants now, there's vegan food and raw foods in a lot of places. They understand that people want healthier foods. They want to be healthier. And I think that the government here in America, they subsidize farmers who are growing genetically modified foods, but they don't help the organic farmers. It's still a struggle in that area. But that's why we have to take our health into our own hands. Don't trust the boxes and the bags and the cans on the shelf in your supermarket. You can't. Just read what it says. Some of those things that are in there, you don't have that in your kitchen when you're cooking fresh food. You can't even pronounce them. It's not like you have a jar of XYZ in your kitchen to cook. You don't have that. You have spices, you have, fresh food in your refrigerator. And they're selling food for us to eat. That's not really food. The manufacturers of foods have scientists in there, and they know how to make foods that you crave. Salt, fat, sugars, foods that we crave, that's in all that food. I saw a cooking show the other day and on TV, and they had where were they? They were in India, and they had these United States manufacturing company of food had moved into India, into a huge plant. And they had these Indian men, all dressed in white coats and covered their hair, and they were cooking in a tandoori oven, and they were making chicken tikka and naan bread and all this Indian food, which, women in India cook all day because it takes a long time to cook and get the seasonings. And they were making this food in tandoori ovens. And then the scientists would come along and taste the food and try to mimic it, to put it in a bag so women don't have to cook that long anymore. And they say, we can use this thing and that thing, not real food even. We can use these chemicals and we can make it taste the same. And they perfect it. And then the next thing you know, they're showing a bag, they're holding up a bag, and that's the food that they mimic from the real food. It's scary. It can't be. It is scary. It can't be anything good for us. It's not real. They're just making up flavors. I know here in America, you buy a box of cereal and say blueberry cereal. But if you look at the ingredients, there's no real blueberries in there.
Yeah, we have
no real carrots in there.
Yeah.
Manufactured.
Like the European Union tries to get a hold on people claiming the food like a strawberry yogurt without strawberries in there because it's wood. Wood is instead of strawberries, like flavored wood pieces.
Wow.
So but the lobby is big. Yeah. I don't know. Is it lobby in English too? Like the people from the big big industries who can have lots of money and of course want to gain more and want to keep it alive. So we have to take it like what the sentence with which you started, to love ourselves enough to take care and to be aware of what's happening and what we are eating.
Right. And our families, small children.
Yes.
Not here in America, children are eating so much fast food, they're getting diabetes at a very early age. It started that a lot of the American diseases that they would get later, they're getting earlier now at an early age because of the food.
So how did you raise your children? Did you raise them vegan too once you changed your diet? That would be interesting too.
Well, I cooked everything for my kids, fresh foods. I thought it was always important, but they had meat and everything else. And then after I learned to meditate, I realized the connection of everything. And that's where the animal thing came in for me. It was like, oh my gosh, this is a sentient being. This is not just an animal that's grown for food. They have feelings. They have babies. They do terrible things, taking the babies away from the mother and not giving it the milk or whatever. So it really hit me one day. And I went home and told my kids, we're going to be vegetarians. I didn't understand vegan. So I didn't know cheese and eggs were harming the animal as well. I just thought killing them was the worst thing you could possibly do. You hear them scream and fight it, and they don't want to be killed, of course. And then they just say, oh no, that we're just raising them and we're going to kill them all. So I went home and told my children, and of course they loved animals so much, they bring home stray animals all the time. And I say, this cat or this dog is the same as those other animals. They're just smart. Many of them are smart. Cows, I've had relationships with cows. I know how they are. Pigs, of course. I have a lot of friends now with pet pigs. And when you think about how horrible it is, they're like dogs. They're so smart, and even smarter sometimes. They understand when you talk to them. They relate and talk to you back. People are eating them. So it's just like they wouldn't eat their dog, but they would eat the pig. So I explained that all to the children. They go, oh no, we don't want to eat animals. I said, okay, nothing with a face. If it has a face, it's a mother or a dad, or we're not eating it. They go, we're fine. I said, now if you want to eat it outside when we go out to eat somewhere, you're welcome to. They said, no, we don't want it. So I raised my kids. They were already, I was 30, so they were, in their early teens and younger. And they decided to be vegetarians. So I raised them that way. And then when they were 17, 18, my son said, well, I think I'm not growing tall enough. So my friend said, because I don't eat meat, so I'm going to eat some meat. And he did. And he grew taller, so he always thought it was the meat. But now my kids, my one daughter eats like I do. My youngest daughter, Mia, she's very much eats a vegan raw diet. Just like I do. She'll eat some cooked food, but mostly raw. And we wrote a book together on this, fast making easy, quick foods, because she's a busy mother. And you can eat raw and have 21-day recipes to eat raw. It's delicious. And then my other daughter, Lisa, and I wrote a book together. This was one we wrote last year. And I know this is going to shock people. It's called the Plant-Based Dog Food Revolution. And it's vegan food, plant-based food for dogs. People think this is a terrible thing. They think dogs are carnivores, but they're not. They're omnivores. One of the dogs who lived the longest in the world was 25 and was a vegan. And so we have fabulous recipes, human-grade food, human food. You can eat it yourself. But you can't just feed your dog table scraps or figure out. You have to make sure everything's balanced. They need some supplementation. But we both have many friends who have vegan dogs, and they're living long and they're doing fine and got rid of their tumors and itching and aggressiveness and everything from eating a plant-based diet. So we have a really, I think, a fabulous book out. There was just a big documentary done with 17 specialists that's saying that dogs can eat this way and should eat this way. So this is all about taking care of the planet as well. And if you're vegan, I can imagine how horrible it is for you to serve your dog meat because you think your dog needs it. They don't. You can do it, and you can do it in a healthy way, but you have to do it the right way. And that's why we spent a long time compiling this book, and I'm very proud of it. And it was my daughter's idea. And so that was another book that I think is really important. But I think we have to, as a planet, we really do need to take a look at everything. We need to slow down. We need to take a look at what's real for us. We need to take a look at how to eat healthier and feed our family healthier. We need to take a look at how we think and what we put as important in life. We need to be grateful every day for at least 3 things every day when you wake up or go to sleep. Be grateful for what you have and how your health is, or whatever you need to be grateful for that day. And I think that's very important. That helps you see that you're having a good life. Honestly, I just want to have fun. Girls just want to have fun. I want to have fun. And I have fun cooking. I have fun walking. I have fun with my boyfriend. I have fun just sitting out in my patio and having a cup of tea. I make sure that what I'm doing, I'm enjoying. It's not work. You need to do things you enjoy. If your work isn't enjoyable, you have to find a way to make it so, or not do that anymore. Because your health is affected by what you do. I can imagine the health of the people in slaughterhouses, what that must be like. You've seen those movies of what that's like, how they kick the animal, how they treat it like it's nothing. It's a living thing, and they treat it like it's nothing. What must that person be? What must be going on inside that person? Even though they've blanked themselves out and think it's nothing, it's still so karmic to be doing that. So, I mean, we have to take a look at what we've done to the planet and how greed and wanting more of everything, material things, how it's really destroyed things. And we need to take a look at something different. You have a plant behind you. You know that plant needs water, so you're caring for something, right? And we need to do that. We need to have a little herb garden. We need to have a plant. We need to have things that we nurture and take care of. And when we're doing it, we need to know, oh, I'm giving this life. And with people, not to be mean or insult people, give people life. You know, when you go out, you have a server at a restaurant or someone checking you out at the market, let them know they're human beings. You're not just there and they're like some robot. Say something to them that's nice. Make people's keep their birthday candles lit inside. You know, don't blow them out. That's what I say. Everybody's got a cake inside with candles. Don't blow them out. Don't be insulting. Don't be mean. If you're not happy with something, don't blame it on that person at the airport that's helping you. It's probably a bigger thing. Be a nice person. You know, I think that's so important. And I think that allows you to live well yourself and to be healthier.
Totally. That is so true. And when you were just talking about like being nice to the waitress or to people you meet on the street, I was thinking about something Eckhart Tolle once said, that once we put another human being into a box and say, well, she's a waitress or he's a pilot or something, then we're not seeing the human anymore. We just see the box. So it begins with seeing that we are all the same and we're just taking roles maybe in life which have different functions, but
it doesn't matter what anyone's doing. It's the person.
Yeah.
Who that person is. A nice person's a nice person. It doesn't matter what you do. We work to achieve and to be somebody or something, and we don't really think about what is really making us happy. We just think, oh, this position is a higher position than that position. It doesn't matter. The person in the higher position could be an asshole, a jerk. I mean, seriously, it doesn't mean that that person is anything. And the person who's maybe waiting on you or doing your gardening is like a heartfelt person, is a good person. So you do have to look at the human being, and then you have to treat everybody as a human being. And we don't. I mean, we can't separate ourselves. I travel all over the world. People in every country are still the same people to me. They're just human beings. We all want to be healthy. We want our children to be healthy. We want the best for our family. We want the best for our planet. People are people all over the world. Doesn't matter what color their skin is, what nationality they are. It's the same. And I think people who don't travel and don't meet people from other countries don't understand. They separate themselves from people on the other side of the border, for instance. I mean, I grew up in California. I grew up with all kinds of people here. People over the border. I've gone over the border to Mexico. I live very close there, and now they're having a problem not wanting people to come in. And there's refugees because in their country they're not being treated right. We have to find an answer to treat people in a humane way. We can't block people out. We have to help them. We have to help the children. We have to help the families to become better people. And I think all over the world it should be that way. And I know everybody's had an invasion of people who are trying to save their life and do better for their family. That's why they're coming to another country. And we have to find a way. We don't have it yet, but we have to find a way to help these people and give them some, somewhere to feel good about themselves. We need to give them. People want to work. They want to earn their living. People aren't lazy. They want to do things. We have to find a way to do it. We're not there yet, but I hope that we get there soon. I think it's one of the most important things, crises we're looking at today in the world, is helping these refugees who have lives are threatened when they're in countries that are killing them and, keeping them from working and all kinds of things. They're just like us. If that happened to us, we would want someone to help us. So
yes, in Germany, we had a big discussion about refugees because there were lots coming, and there was no choice than giving them homes, because if we would live in Syria where there's war, I would take my children and go and see if I can put them into a safe place. And even if people are refugee from poverty or hunger, it's like, sometimes I think, why are countries like America or Europe, some European countries so wealthy? It is also because there has always been a step between, and maybe we took too much years ago. Maybe, I don't know. But I think it's like we can't redo it, but we can be human, and we can be not feeling sorry for them, but helping.
Right. Well, the leaders of the countries that are oppressed, the leaders are usually greedy and egotistical and dominating people of poor people who didn't have an education or don't have money. I think we're here to lift people up. And in America, we're having a kind of a battle of that ourselves for the first time. It's been very difficult to function under this government that we have right now. And, people keep working on it, but we have always let people in and tried to help them. That is what, my family came over from Russia or Poland. We're all from somewhere else here. And I know it's very difficult when people are coming, but we have to remember these are human beings. They're treating them like animals when they come over. They have no choice. Like you said, we would do the same thing if we needed to do it. So we have to find a way for peace without borders and help people and lift people up. Like in America, we don't need as much as we have. In the individuals who are extremely wealthy here, the small amount of individuals who are extremely wealthy, overpower the people that don't have anything, and they don't want them to have anything. They say, oh, we're doing them a favor because we hire them for work, and then they pay them very low wages. So greed is really a problem, I think, in the world. And the same thing with the food manufacturers. It's just greed. They could do better. They think they have this idea we have to feed more people, but you don't have to do it that way. We have to figure out a way to do it so we're feeding them healthy. It's just greed, more money, chemical food. People are getting sick. They need to take a look at why people are getting sick, and take, really look at what is my food doing to people. And I think chefs, I always feel this. Chefs, when you go out, they have a responsibility. You're cooking for people. You're putting your love into the food. You need to make sure the food you have is good. It's not junky food. That's why the fast food restaurants, they buy the cheapest food possible. And then they cook it with people who don't care they're cooking. They're angry while they're cooking. They hate their job. And you're eating that. You're ingesting all that energy from that food. It's like, I always say I want to go where there's a chef cooking, because at least they care more about what they want. They have a little garden, or they're buying the best food from the farmer's market. If I see a chef at the farmer's market, I go, where do you work? Because you want to eat food, from somebody who cares about food, not from some fast food place where they're just getting, no money an hour to just pass things through a little window to your car, drive-throughs like that, or fast foods. You don't want to eat that food. And I think that I'm just trying to wake people up to eat fresh food. Whatever you eat fresh food. If you are eating meat, if the animal thing doesn't bother you and you are eating meat, you want to eat some meat that's not injected with steroids and antibiotics. And you only want to eat a small amount because it's not good for you. Same thing with chickens or eggs. You want free range. You want to make sure where you're getting your food, if you're eating those things, that at least you're eating clean food and you're not eating stuff that's got, chemicals laid in there. So, there's all levels. I have friends who are raw. I have friends who are vegans. I have friends who still eat meat. I have friends who, eat every way, different ways. Some people don't, they're vegan, but they don't care about organic, and it's like, what? But then I have people who have organic and they don't care about vegan. So there's a variety of people. You have to figure out what's best for you and your family and the planet. You have to think outside of what you have to think, first of all. You can't just eat. And that's when you're sitting down to a meal as well. If you're with people, you usually talk and eat. I see people with their phones all the time while they're eating, and they have no mindfulness about what they're eating. They're not taking their time to look, to chew, to see what's on that plate, and to eat. I think that mindfulness, back to that again, is so important on every level of life. And when you're eating, just look at that food. Think about who picked it, who grew it, that little seed that grew that beautiful lettuce, and then someone came and picked it. And then it was on a truck, or it came from the farmer's market, whatever. Think about that food that you're eating. And be more mindful, and be more mindful when you're in the grocery market, the supermarket. Make sure that you're eating. But if you can shop at farmers markets, it's the best thing you can do. That's local. It's not flown in anywhere. You're eating local food. It's like the best place to eat food. It really is. In supermarkets, you see things from all over the world at a time of the year. Like when strawberries aren't growing naturally where you live, there's still strawberries in the market here in California because they get it from somewhere else. So, and speaking of strawberries, might I say one thing about them? They hold the most pesticides of anything. People eat strawberries, and I see them, they got a child in the basket, and they're buying a basket of strawberries. I have to zip my mouth up. I want to tell everybody, don't eat that. My boyfriend's always pulling me away because he can see when I'm ready to say something. But the strawberries are the worst. Any berries. And kale is now up at the top of the list for these eating organic. But my God, people just are, you don't have to be unaware today. It's out there. You can find the information.
Yes, and it's easy because the Dirty Dozen or lists like that are easy to remember.
Yes, it's very easy. Anything thin-skinned, peaches and anything, all thin summer fruits and tomatoes and sweet bell peppers, all those things with thin skins are holding it. I gave a talk once and a woman said, oh, well, we grow strawberries with pesticide, but you can just wash it off. And I said, no, you can't wash it off. It doesn't come off. See those little holes in there, those little seeds, and that sinks into the food. There's nothing to wash off. It's in that food. So some people think, oh, if I use the right cleaner, I can wash the stuff off. And you can't. So you want to, you don't have to have a pineapple that's organic or maybe an avocado or banana, but I still try to support organic farmers. I'd rather buy the organic even if I don't have to. If I have a choice between the two and it's a, a price difference. I don't care. I'm going to support the person who's growing organic food because I want to see more of that.
Yeah, so, I'm trying my best and trying to buy food which is not totally packed into plastic, which doesn't always work out, but it's getting better here in Germany. It's getting better.
Yeah, well, I think the farmers markets in Germany are really good. I actually think the German people I know, because I lived in Mallorca, it's like a little Dusseldorf, it's all Germans there.
It's a little bit German, yeah.
Yeah, and the port I lived in was just, I never had to speak Spanish. I had to really, if I couldn't speak German, but I should have learned German because everyone I knew was German, but they all spoke English. But they were definitely more conscious about food, eating healthy foods. I was very surprised, but I found out, and I saw mostly people who were thin. They weren't overweight. Occasionally, I used to think that Germans were all heavy, that they ate sausage and potatoes all the time before I met a German person, but I didn't know. I was from California, and that's what I saw, I thought. But then when I met German people, it was like they all looked great. All the women looked fantastic, and they were, thin, and people were healthy, and they were eating healthy, and they knew about health foods, and I found it to be quite amazing. I've been to Germany several times and spoken in Germany to large groups of people. They're very health conscious. And I mean, seriously, thousands of people I met were totally into health and health conscious. And at the time, they didn't allow some of the food that we were shipping, that we wanted to ship to Germany from America, unless they took out a certain ingredient. They were very particular. No, we don't want that ingredient in our food. So the manufacturer took it out. They gave it to us, but they took it out when they shipped it to Germany. So the Germans wouldn't allow it in. They know we're not having it. And so we still are getting it, but the Germans get the stuff without the chemical in it. So they're definitely more conscious about it. They look out for their people really well in that area, I think. But there's always room for improvement for ourselves, and always know that. Even for me, I feel like I can improve more. I always try to see what I can do better, trying to make something new and do something different. And I love to cook. So for me, being in the kitchen is a delight, and I like cooking for my boyfriend. And so if I'm making him something that he's in the mood for, that's, I'm happy with that. And my family, like I say, when we get together, we're all cooking together. It's fantastic. Now, they all don't eat like me. I didn't finish. My two girls are more conscious than the two boys. But one of my sons, he does the celery juice thing every day. He was juicing regular, but now he's on to that popular just drinking straight celery juice.
I didn't get that yet. I didn't try it, and I didn't get why everybody needs a celery juice now.
Well, I've seen the posts from the medical medium, is the guy who kind of started this, and you think, oh, it's another fad. But everybody that I've seen, their skin is cleared up from eczema and all kinds of things. If you follow the medical medium on Instagram or something, you'll see people are posting their success stories. It's medical medium. They're posting their success stories, and it's really happening. It's not a weird thing. There's something in the celery. I use celery in my juice, but he says it's not the same as drinking straight. I did it for a couple of weeks, but my system's very clean, and I stopped. I went back to my regular juicing for me. But everyone I know, I don't really have an issue with anything, so I didn't see anything happening for me. But I really feel like it is a good thing. But and I don't feel it's a trend. He's a best-selling author now, and a lot of celebrities are doing it. I know we're always like trying new things and go, oh, then later you find out it's not good. But I have to say one thing: the celery price went up $1 a bunch. If celery went up $1, and my son said sometimes he can't find organic celery in the markets. They go so fast. So many people on celery juice right now. It's like this phenomenon, really. And if I didn't see people posting videos on my social media about drinking celery juice, I would not. I think, oh, it's going to pass. But I think it's a real thing. I really do. I think it's really.
I believe so too. I just didn't get into it yet. But now I'm motivated.
It depends if you have something you're trying to cure. You're going to your liver out, or you've got skin problems or something. I think it's really good. But I guess it's good for everything. It probably would be good for me if I did it. But I'm too busy with my other stuff right now. So that son, he's doing the celery juice, and he cooks. He's a really good cook, and he eats fish. He doesn't eat red meat. He eats fish, and he's careful, and he doesn't eat a lot. He's very thin. He doesn't eat a lot of food. And then my oldest son, he's a big superfood drinker and juicer. That's his main thing. He's always watching his health. He's not a vegan or anything or vegetarian, but he's always watching his health. He's running all the tests that you have to test. And he's drinking some of the thickest, ugliest tasting juice I've ever had. But he says he doesn't care. He just drinks it down. He puts all the powders and the greens, and he doesn't care what it tastes like. He's used to it now. He just drinks it down. And he's in his, what is he, 60? I don't know. He's up there, 59, 60. And all my kids are in their 50s, but I think he maybe just went into his 60s. But he does marathons. He's a runner. He's very athletic. He's in amazing shape for his age. He's really, yeah. So he's taking really good care of himself. So they all are conscious. My grandkids aren't all there yet, but they know how I eat. They think it's great, but they're not, still eating too much sushi on my watch. But what can you do? But, they all really, we are very close. We were a really close-knit family. We really have so much fun together. We're laughing all the time. And laughter, come on, what's better than that? Yeah. I mean, there's so much seriousness in the world. You've got to, I watch funny things and comedy, and I try to be funny sometimes myself. It doesn't always work. Sometimes I think I am funny, but I really love laughter. And I have some very funny friends, some very funny girlfriends, and we laugh the whole time we're together. And I think that's really important. I mean, it's really important to be silly.
Yeah, that's true. I read a book because last year I started getting hot flushes because I'm turning 50 next year. So in that period of change, and hormones are getting a little wild, not really bad because I think of yoga and the vegan diet and everything. But I read a book from Christina Northrup. I don't know.
Oh, yes, I love her. Yes, she's great.
About being a goddess when you age. And she says it's all about enjoying your life.
Yes.
Sleeping enough, dancing, having fun, laughing. It's all about that because the cells you were talking about, they can only, it's also one part of it is that they also need not only the good stuff in our food and in our drinks, they also need the good energy to get it all in.
I always tell people, I mean, I think laughter is so important. And so many people, they start telling me all the negative things about themselves. And I go, zip it up. You have to stop saying these negative things about yourself. And you have to stop thinking them eventually, because it's the same thing. What you think affects your body, not just what you verbally say. But start looking at what you like about yourself and talk about that. Start doing the things that make you happy. Yes. So many people, so many women in particular, are very negative about themselves. And and like just like the dancing or the being happy or the laughing, it's so much more important to be on that plane than the other. Because if you are that way, you draw in negative stuff to you. If you say, I get tired every day at 3:00, guess what? 3:00 comes, you're tired every day. Your words can hear you. You have to be very careful about what you say. I always say your words can hear you. Don't say anything that you don't want your body to accept. Only say what you want. Now, just think about that. If we only said the things we want and not what we don't want, how our lives would be.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah.
We can create whatever we want by saying what we want rather than what we don't want. And even if you have to fake it at first, say it anyway. It's okay. It's okay to have a vision board. It's okay to dream. It's okay to see yourself having these things. It's okay when you're meditating or going to sleep at night to see yourself having a perfect day the next day and having fun and, your life, just everything coming to you. And I do that and it happens. I think of things and it happens. So I've decided that since I'm so powerful, I better think of good things and not bad things because, I don't want those other things. And I'm afraid if I think them, they'll happen. So that's why I don't have an age consciousness. I mean, I love saying I'm 80, but I don't get it because I think I'm not, physically or anything. I think I'm 40. I used to be 20, but now that I'm 80, I'm saying 40. It's a little too much of a stretch to say I feel 20. So now I say I feel 40. And, why not? Why not wake up thinking that?
I have to tell you something from my grandmother. She passed away a couple of years ago. But when I turned 30, I said, well, I don't feel like being 30. I feel like being 23. And she said, well, me too. And she was 78, 87, so it's 78.
Uh-huh.
80,
She's 78 or 87?
87. The 8 is in front. Is it the
8 is in front is 87. Yeah.
Sorry. Get confused. So, and she said, I'm still feeling like 23 because you only get old on the outside, what people see. Inside, it's all the same. And I felt like, okay, that's
very true. When I was younger, older people used to tell me that, and I didn't get it because I was looking at them and thinking, oh, they're making up, but you don't feel any different. I don't, unless you make a choice to. Unless you're listening to the advertisements and the pharmaceutical companies and the media who's telling you when you hit 80 or whatever, that you're supposed to feel a certain way. You're going into a senior home. You're not supposed to be relevant. You're not supposed to be writing books. It's like time for you to sit back and, see the rest of your end of your life. Honestly, we are told so much stuff that women who go through menopause are already negative, like it's all over. And especially women who haven't had children feel really bad when they're going through menopause. They think that they were supposed to have children and they missed their boat or whatever. And when they go through menopause, they go through really terrible stuff mentally. And this is what we can't do. We're aging. I'm going to age. I'm aging. But that doesn't mean I have to feel old just because I'm aging. That doesn't mean anything to me. Just because I'm 80 doesn't mean I have to feel old. And I don't. But I don't go along with what I read or see on television with pharmaceuticals and everything you're supposed to be. I don't listen to my doctor. And they always say age-related. Everything after 50 is age-related. I don't think it has to be that way. I follow on YouTube or anything I can find where people are in their 90s and 100s and they're still running marathons and they're swimming and they're doing yoga. And those are my heroes. That's who I'm looking at. Go, oh, this is possible. And people who are younger than me look at me and say, oh, this is possible. Look at her at 80. She's still doing this. I have a lot of that. So I look at the older people, and people that are a little younger than me are looking at me. And so you have to know that it's possible, if we take care of ourselves, to live a long life and live a healthy long life. We don't want to just live long and be sick. We want to live a long, healthy life. A woman passed away today in America. She was a film star in the 1945, 50. Her name was Doris Day, a singer, very popular. She just died today at 97. And they said her health was very, very good up until the end. She got pneumonia. But up until then, up until just recently when she got pneumonia, she was in perfect health. And so you can be, and that's the way to do it. Be in perfect health. And just before you're ready to die, the week before, you don't feel so good. That's my idea. I don't feel so good today. And then you're gone. I think that's the way to do it. Live long, and then, don't suffer.
Yeah, that's true.
Taking care of yourself is important. I watch other people. I've watched family members get sick and go downhill so fast. People in senior homes here are very big in America for putting people into a living situation where someone can take care of them and cook their meals. And it's just downhill. Because it's really sad because they think they're there to die. This is their last part of their life. They have activities for people and stuff, but they feed them terrible. And it's just not a good environment because everybody there is old. I mean, I have very young friends. I hang out with very young people. I know a few people close to not my age, but younger. But I mean, I have some of my best friends are 30. My best girlfriends are 30 years old. And we go out and do things and hang out. And I don't feel any different than them. I feel just the same. We laugh and have a good time. We dress the same. I always dress young. So we're good, We have an amazing time together. And I just happen. Same thing with my boyfriend being 20 years younger. It's not that I'm looking for it. It's just that's who I feel simpatico to. And they feel that same with me. And no one ever, girls I hang out with, they don't treat me like I'm an older person. No one's like helping me off the curb or doing anything. I'm running alongside of them, So I feel blessed. I really feel blessed. But I do work at it. I do. I believe we all can overcome family illnesses if we really work at it and think differently and eat differently. I do think it's possible that you don't have to get just because someone in your family had something that you have to get the same thing. You might get it, but you might be able to get rid of it in a natural way.
So, Mimi, lots of German listeners will now be motivated to get more raw food and get good teas into their life. So which of your books to start with?
Well, I must say that my first book, Live Raw, that book to me, I poured my heart out. It was everything. I was right in the transition period. So what I was writing at the time could be different than I write now in some ways because I was in the transition period. And I think it's really helpful, that first book. The recipes there's some easy ones in there, but there are some that are maybe a little more complicated. So I'll tell you what other book is good. But I like that book so much. It's still selling. It was a bestseller and it's still selling. And I like it so much because I was in the beginning stages.
You know what I love about the book? Sorry for interrupting you, but I love that there's in the beginning, first there's those beautiful pictures of you in the garden. I love the pictures. And then you have those 10 steps to say, like right in the beginning, like it says, like, do your walk, like what we talk about today.
Yes.
And I read the book, and then I decided to also have a birthday month.
Uh-huh.
Before drinking any smoothie, I decided this.
Good. That's good. Okay, so that's why I like that book, because it was in my beginning stages, and I think it will really help people who are just starting out. Mm-hmm. And I think as a companion book, which is a very good book to have, I mean, I have a juicing book, so if someone is interested in really going on juice cleanses and juicing and so forth, that's a good book. But my daughter Mia and I, my youngest daughter and I, wrote Raw-Vitalize. And that book is a 21-day plan. And we also have, anybody can go on Facebook and join Raw-Vitalize Book Club. And they can see what other people are doing. And it's got a really good following. And people who bought the book and are making dishes from it, they post what they make. And that book was so good because my daughter had called me. She said, Mom, I'm not eating as much raw anymore. And I need to get back, but I'm so busy. And I said, okay, let's work on something. So we were just doing a little menu for her. And then we get, oh, wait a second. This is like, people could use this. Is good. So we were going to put a little ebook out. And I called my agent. She said, let me check with your publisher and see if you could do that. And then they said, no, we want it. We want to publish it as a book. So then we wrote it as a book. But it's 21 days. It's recipes that take 10 to no more than 15 minutes. It's single foods, easy to fix, no dehydrator. You need a blender and maybe a food processor. But those are the only two things. No dehydration at all. And they're very quick meals. My daughter, Mia, because she's a executive director of a preschool, every Sunday she goes to shopping. She comes home and she makes all her breakfasts and puts them in little mason jars. So she has them for the week. She makes the chia pudding. She makes the seed salad. She makes mango pudding. She makes all the different breakfasts. She keeps them in the refrigerator for the week. Then she makes, we have salad in a jar, things that you can make and put in a jar. And when you get to work, you turn it over and put it into a bowl. And you've got these salads. All the hard stuff goes on the bottom and then the light lettuce is on top. And you have a separate thing for salad dressing. So she makes all kinds of dishes in that jar. And that's her lunch. And then when she comes home, she'll cook a dinner. So this is all the easy foods for people. And your family will love it. And we have gotten rave reviews from people whose lives completely changed by doing this for 21 days. It has a shopping list in there. So I think that's a great book. I'm really proud of all my books, and they're all a little different. But the reason why I always say the first one there is because I talked a lot about myself and what I do. And the other books, I didn't talk as much because I'm going to have the same people buying it, and I didn't want that repeat. But this is like a 10-year span in here from my first book, just about a 10-year span. So obviously I'm doing things differently. My second book came out, Live Raw Around the World. And that had food from other countries. So if you're into the cooking and you want to have Mexican food and German food and Italian food and Thai food and Indian food, that's a really good book for people who love international foods. It's really has great recipes in there. I think they're all good. Then I did a juice book. My publishers asked me to do a juice book. And of course I jumped on that because I think juicing is so important. And it tells you what foods are good for different ailments in there. So the juice book is an excellent book. And then I did a little, they asked me to do a hydration book. So I did a little infused water. It's kind of like a gift book. It's very small, that you'd give somebody as a gift. Great for summer because it tells you how to keep hydrated with different infusions in water, like lemon or cucumber or all kinds of things. And and I think that's a nice little gift book. And then I did the dog book, which is I'm very proud of. Like I say, if you have a dog, at least read this, even though you think they need meat. Read this book and then tell me if you think your dog could function on this. Take a look at these recipes. What could hurt giving your dog human-grade food, none of that junk that's in packaged food? And they're coming out with better foods today, and they have a lot of vegan dog foods today that you can buy. But you still need to put fresh food on it, just like for us. You can eat the vegan food, but you still need the fresh food. Same for your dog. And we tell ways to do that if you're going to feed the packaged vegan foods or other foods, how to grate and do different things to put on the food. We also have superfoods that you could mix together for your dog and sprinkle it on powders. And then my next book was the tea book, and that will be out in July. So that's 7 books. Yes, I covered 7 books. So they all have their specialty. So they're all good, but I would think, like I say, I think this first book is really important. And then if you can combine the two, that and Raw Vitalize, if you can buy those at the same time, I think it'll be really helpful because the recipes in the second book, the Raw Vitalize, are easier, quicker. But look through the first book and then pick out a couple recipes. Maybe you love Italian food and you want to make lasagna. So you would learn how to make that really well. You try that a few times and say, I need more garlic, I need less garlic. You'll see how to make it. But in there, it tells you how to make pesto and red sauce, and you're using zucchini and you're layering it. And we didn't have all those good vegan cheeses, but you can you can make the cheeses now that I tell you to make, and you can even put some of the sprinkle that in there. And then honestly, it's as good as any lasagna you've ever eaten. It's delicious. And so that I think is the way to do it. And then pick another recipe that sounds good to you after you've not mastered the lasagna and learn how to make that. Then it becomes part of your repertoire of cooking. Like you do that every week, and then you make another thing every week. And, I think it's good. And when you get to know that you're really going to eat raw and want to do that, it's good to have a dehydrator because you can make cookies, and you can do it in your oven with the door open, but it's a little touchier. But then you want a little dehydrator because you can make so many things in your dehydrator. I love portobello mushroom stuff with pesto, and I warm that in the dehydrator. And it's just like, oh my God, so yummy. Really good food. It really is delicious. That's the first thing. The food is delicious, and it has to be if you're going to make a switch. Nobody wants to eat food that's like medicine. You want to eat, fresh food.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
So I think that's really important, is making the fresh food. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put all the books you recommended in the order on my blog. So, and I'm going to put the link to my blog under the podcast in the text, so everybody can find you. You also mentioned a YouTube video making cheese, which
I have a lot of YouTube videos. You can just look under Mimi Kirk for YouTube video.
Yeah. And I want to put the link in there. Yeah.
Okay. And I want to mention my website, because when I do a YouTube video, I put the recipe on my website. And also on my website, if somebody wants a hand autographed book, they have to buy it. You can get the books on Amazon, but if you want an autographed book, you can get it from me. And I always give a little gift, like a necklace or something that I've designed that's particular. So I send you a special little gift. On that one book, it's a dog tag, and it tells you to juice and all the things you should be doing. There's 6 things you should be doing on there. And then I have another one that says, it's a tree of life, or it's love the stars and the moon. I love you as much as the stars. I mean, there's always a little something, a juice bracelet. So I give a little something special. So my website is youngonrawfood.com. Mm-hmm. Young on Raw Food, no S, no foods, youngonrawfood.com. And then it'll say buy books up in the heading title, and you can look to see the books and read a little bit about them and decide which one would be right for you. And like I say, it's on Amazon as well. You can read that and read the reviews. We've got very good reviews on all the books. And I bet, I'm really proud of them. And they're still selling. Even the first book is still selling very well. Oh,
that's great. I love the book. I keep coming back to it. There's so many new books I have here, but this is one of my favorites. So,
and mine too, because I go back to it and I go, oh my God, that was a great recipe I haven't made for a while. I have to look back at my books because I'm always like creating new things. I love doing new things and trying new foods all the time. And my boyfriend said, can you make that again? I said, no, I don't know how I made it. I didn't write it down. I have to guess every time, That's how my first book happened, by the way. I was cooking and making things. I didn't write anything down. And then people said, why don't you write a book? And I went, what? And I thought, well, I don't know. And then they said, whoa, write a book. So then I wrote up some recipes. I said, I'm going to have to go back and make everything and write down the exact ingredients now. And then I was really lucky. Somebody said, I know somebody who I think, an agent who I think would love to have your book. So I wrote to that person and they said, definitely. Called me the next day and they said, this is great. They found me within a week, they found me a publisher. And that was great. That was my first book. So yeah. I want to encourage anybody to do what they love. And I have a lot of people now who are writing books that were followers of mine, and now they're writing their own books and they're coaching and doing all kinds of things. And I want that all to happen because there's a lot of people out there that don't know. So don't think that just making nut milk, everybody knows. They don't. I make seed milks as well, by the way. I make oat milk. I make hemp seed milk. I make pumpkin seed milk. I make all the alternative milks, and they're all so good for you. And you don't want the regular milk anymore. So if you have allergies to things, this is the good. If you can't do nuts, you do seeds. It's really a great way to go. And a lot of people don't know that yet. So even though some of these things are showing up in the market, they're still processed. You still want to make your own. It's okay to buy it once in a while. You're in a hurry, you buy a milk, but it's not the same as making it yourself.
That's true.
What water you're putting in it, you know that you bought organic. And even though it says organic, you know that you're buying seeds from a certain person or nuts from a certain person. So you're positive that what you're getting. So, and it's fun. That's the other thing. I think it's fun. I love doing it. So
thank you so much for taking so much time. I feel so motivated. Right.
Oh, good.
I want to go cook.
Yay, me too. I'm going to go make something right now.
Okay. Thank you so much. I can't
wait to try something new.
And I think people can reach out to you for the books. Like you mentioned, I will put all the links down under the recording. And
great.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. And let me know when this is going to be on. Okay?
Yes,
so I can let my people know.
Yes,
okay?
I will.
Have a great day.
Hey und pst, es gibt einen neuen Podcast von mir, der ursprünglich auf einer von mir geschaffenen Kursplattform nur zur Verfügung gestellt wurde. Er heißt Zurück zur Natur und ich beschreibe darin, wie ich ätherische Öle und Supplements nutze und was ich den Leuten, die das mit mir entdecken, rate. Wenn du also Lust hast, auf diesem Weg auch mir ein bisschen zuzuhören, dann findest du Zurück zur Natur überall da, wo du auch diesen Podcast findest. Viel Spaß beim Zuhören.